Philosophy channel, and this is the Player in Focus show from the West Brom game. After I looked at the player ratings in the Manchester Evening News, and I put 4 players forward to be voted on. Anthony Martial was over 2,500 votes, and Anthony Martial got 37% of the votes. Bruno was second with 26%. So Anthony Martial is the player in focus. The idea of the player in focus is obviously for me to justify why a player gets a certain mark. And Anthony Martial got a 5 off me. I think he got a 3 in the Manchester Evening News, which on my scale is very poor. I've said he was average, and that's a 5, so I gave him a 5. And what does average mean? I mean, there's more than one way of looking at it. You could mean average by his own standards, or it could mean average amongst the team players, in other words, better than some and not as good as others. So it could have, I'm sure it's probably got even another possible meaning, but it certainly could mean average among him and his teammates. And having studied the game carefully 3 times now, I would still stick with the average 5, in as much that I think Cavani couldn't get in the game at all, and I gave Cavani a lower mark than Martial, and he really couldn't get in the game, so I gave Cavani a lower mark. I'll stick with that. I gave Fred a lower mark. I'll stick with that. I gave Rashford the same mark, but I don't think, having watched it all again, that Rashford played as well as Martial did. So there's certainly a few players there where I would say that Martial definitely was at least average in that game. So I would stick with that average. Now, obviously, I rate Anthony Martial as a top player. A lot of people know that. And I've never had so many clips. I've got 24 clips to put up from this game to show that he earned his mark of being average. So I think, going off the social media and going off, well, even like the Evening News themselves gave a 3. Obviously, I've got to show good stuff. I've put a couple of the things in where he could have done better, but I've got to show stuff that I deem to be good stuff. And I believe that we should be playing, our team should play the game more like Anthony Martial plays the game, i.e. decision making is excellent. I'm going to show some decision making. More patience we need to show. Basically, we need to look after the ball better. So I'm going to show some of them will be included in the same clip, where you will see Anthony Martial perhaps do something decent or good, and then somebody else doesn't do something so good, and United lose the ball. So I'm going to show a few clips like that, and I think it's fair to say that in this game, I could make an argument out that Anthony Martial is a player who shows the rest of our players how we should play. And even from this game, West Brom, where it was a shocker and everybody thinks Martial had an absolute shocker, I believe we would have done a lot better if the other players in the team would have showed more patience, would have looked after the ball better, and would have made better decisions like Martial did most of the time that he had the ball. Like I say, there's 24 different clips. It's quite a lot of clips. They'll be going up on Rick the Red UK on Twitter. I'll do them in 3 separate threads. I think I'll put 8 per thread, and there's all different sorts of clips. And the first clip I'm going to show is West Brom's goal. I'm going to take this opportunity just to show what I'm always talking about when I'm talking about team shape, and when I'm talking about having too many forward-minded players in the team. And I stick with that. I will stick with that forever and a day. We play with too many attack-minded players in the team. So in this clip for their goal, this isn't about this. It's a little bit about Anthony Martial, but I'm just taking this opportunity to show you what I mean. But it is a little bit about Anthony Martial being in the correct team shape. But the ball we clear the ball once from the box, and when we clear the ball once from the box, you can see Cavani in this clip, you can see Bruno, and you can see Rashford all coming out towards their goal. Now, being forward-thinking players, they're hoping that we're going to win the ball. They're hoping that they're going to mess up. They're hoping all different sorts of things can happen, but they want to get forward. Anthony Martial, you can see on the left, he's also a forward. He's edging forward. This is while the ball's been cleared and the ball's in the air, so you don't know exactly what's going to happen next. But a forward-thinking player is hoping that we're going to go on a break. And you can see that the ball drops to a West Brom player, and you can see Bruno running towards him, but he doesn't really run towards him at an angle to cut his route to goal off. He runs at him sideways on and almost behind him. He almost forces him towards our goal rather than trying to force him away from the goal. And Rashford's coming from the other side, also running past him, and Cavani runs past him. He's probably hoping that Rashford or Bruno are going to win it off him. This is what a forward-thinking player thinks. And if you watch it, and watch it a couple of times, and when you watch it 2 or 3 times, personally, I think it looks ridiculous. Basically, Bruno and Rashford and Cavani, he doesn't have to do anything, the West Brom player. Those 3 players all run past him. They basically run past him almost more so than him running past them. And then he passes the ball out to the wing. When he passes the ball out to the wing, Shaw's tucked too far inside. He's really well inside, and there's a man free on the wing. So Martial's the nearest man. He has to get back. And the job of that player then is to make sure that the player who receives the ball can't cross it and force him backwards. During that period, that player who does that is hoping that somebody else will be back in position, to prevent other West Brom players getting involved. So Martial does his job perfectly well. He gets back right near the corner flag, forces the player to go backwards rather than cross it, which is what he's supposed to do. But the player who he passes it to is unmarked still, puts the ball into the box, and West Brom score. So I'm showing that it's about team shape. It's about Martial being in team shape and actually doing his job. But other players in the team perhaps should have done theirs better, and it might have resulted in them simply not being able to pass the ball out to the wing, which then results in them not scoring. Clip number 2 is very, very simple. You might even wonder why it's in there, but I'm going to show situations where we need our players literally to take a touch on the ball and then pass it. So all clip number 2 is he receives the ball and he passes. He takes one touch and he passes it to Luke Shaw and he moves forward. It's a very simple piece of play, but I'm going to show instances where it can build to stuff. What you're trying to do, you're trying to keep the ball with your team. Don't make silly decisions. It's the easiest thing to do. Just do it and make yourself available and try and get forward again. So it's very, very simple, clip number 2. Clip number 3 is now Bruno receiving the ball with his back to goal. So this is a similar situation. I'm putting this in just to show the difference. The ball's played to Bruno. Instead of taking a touch and looking for a simple pass, he sort of backs up a little bit and tries to flick it around the corner. It goes straight to their defender, and then obviously they've got the ball and we lose possession. We need to keep possession better. We need to be more patient and do the simple thing more often. The little thing that Martial does in clip number 2, other players need to do. People think it's boring, but it can develop. You need to keep the ball. You need to pass the ball better as a team, and don't take unnecessary risks that are not really going to lead to anything. So in the very next clip number 3, you can see Bruno flicking it aimlessly, really, straight to their one of their players. Clip number 4 is United's best move in the match at this point, and probably remains one of the best 3 or 4 moves in the whole game, where he receives the ball, Martial, and first time, there's a time to take a touch and there's a time to play it first time, and top players understand that. Martial's a top player, and he puts Luke Shaw in behind their defence absolutely beautifully. The grief that I see Martial getting, I think most people must have missed this point, but it's a lovely, lovely pass that puts Shaw in behind. Shaw feeds it across the goal, and Cavani should at least strike the ball, but he has an air shot, if that's what they call it, when he misses the ball. He has an air shot, and I'm not saying he should score, but he should certainly make connection with the ball, and maybe should even hit the target, and then you never know. But it's beautifully laid on by Martial for sure to cross it. Clip number 5 Two or three things in this one. A little bit about the referee as well. He receives the ball just outside his own box, Martial. And one of the most important things that he's almost always, I know I just showed a clip where he puts Shaw through first time, but most of the time, 80 or 90% of the time, you're better off taking a touch, no matter where you are, apart from in your own box if you're clearing your lines. But generally, on the field of play, you're better off taking a touch. And if Martial receives the ball, takes one touch, draws the foul, he draws the player into him. And just as the player's coming into him, he passes it to Fred. Perfectly good pass to Fred. And Fred more or less launches it out to Bruno in the air. The player is really late on Martial. Leaves Martial in a crumpled heap. Have a look at it. See, the ball's already left Martial's foot. He's probably a yard gone away by the time he gets crunched by the defender. One more thing about our move. It goes in the air to Bruno. Bruno's touch has got to be better. It's shocking, and he just loses the ball cheaply. When he loses the ball cheaply, don't forget it's gone to Fred, and from Fred to Bruno. But when Bruno loses the ball cheaply, he complains to the referee about the foul on Martial. I'm pretty certain that the referee has just waved play on because United have got the ball. That's how it appears. But I think you would normally see a referee go back to that situation and at least book the player once the ball's gone out of play. But he just let it carry on and nothing came of it. And the player who was marking Martial, it's in the first 10 minutes this, for me, definitely should have got a yellow card. And then that puts him on the back foot a little bit for the rest of the game. And if the referee does his job, simple little thing like that, you don't know what it can lead to. That could make the difference between us winning or drawing or even losing. If the referee does his job right and that defender's on the back foot for the rest of the game, it can really change it. And Martial there was hard done by, should have got a free kick, but Bruno should have kept the ball anyway. And then also the player should have got booked. Clip number 6, it's another situation about getting it under control. I'm not just going to pick on Bruno. I'm only showing the first 68, 70 minutes that Martial played. Again, it's about receiving the ball with your back to goal. Watch it a couple of times, perhaps it's a throwing down the line to Bruno. It's bouncing into his midriff. You've got to take a touch of the ball, and he just steps to one side, raises his boot, tries to flick it on. I know this is about Martial. I'm showing one or two clips to show what should be done and what Martial does in similar situations. You've got to get that ball with your body and drop it to the floor and then look to pass it. Don't lean out of the way, flick it with your foot like he's done once before already, and it goes straight to one of their players. Clip number 7. This shows Martial doing almost the same thing, but there's a difference. There really is a difference. People say you're showing favouritism. The only favouritism I have got is for the better players and the players who do the right thing more often. That's the only reason I've got favouritism. But then when I say favouritism, this is not favouritism. If this was a different player doing this particular thing, I would say that's perfectly fine in that situation. Doesn't matter which player it is. If this was Bruno doing this, I'd say that's fine there. But what happens here, there's a ball played in to Martial. Shaw is flicked free on the left and there's no defender. There's one defender behind Martial, but there's no defender between Martial and Shaw. He tries a first time flick into Shaw. So this is what I'm talking about decision making. He doesn't make contact with the ball. I don't know why he doesn't. And as I've said, I'm showing some poor bits as well as the good bits. And he should do better. Absolutely, he should do better. But I am adamant that decision making has got to be right, and in this particular instance it is the right decision to try to play that ball first time to Shaw. In the two flicks that I've shown from Bruno so far, he's got a man behind him, there's nothing on, there's just basically aimless flicks, just trying to flick the ball further up the field with nothing. And even if there is a man there, it's just another man who's got his back to goal. Get the ball under control and pass it. This one that I'm talking about here, clip number 7, he tries to flick it to Shaw, but Shaw's in oceans of room. If he gets it right, it's a really dangerous moment, and it's well worth trying, and it's a simple one as well. And when I say well, that's another thing about the decision. Not only is it well worth trying, he should get it right. Why he gets it wrong, I don't know, but he does get it wrong. That's clip number 7. Clip number 8, it gets hold of the ball twice. It's about 30 seconds long. This clip, it takes a touch again. Always take a touch when you can. It's tight to the line. Look how many players are all around him. He's really tight to the line, but he takes a touch, which is going to draw the man in. Then he passes it to Bruno. It's only a 2 or 3 yard pass, and then Bruno plays it first time. Martial tries to go past his man, and he gets fouled. So United get a free kick. Then he gets the ball again. When the ball comes back to Martial, he holds it again a few seconds. He's got a man behind him. He holds it till the right moment, and he gives it to Bruno. Again, you know, the pass from Martial maybe could just be a little bit in front of Bruno, but it's the right thing. He's got a player behind him. He holds it till the right moment, draws a player in, and then gives it to Bruno. It's around the halfway line. When he gives it to Bruno, this is about patience. We need to try and build the attack. If he was playing for a better team, Martial, say he was playing for City, he'd be giving it to a person in the position where Bruno is, who would then be giving it to somebody's feet or playing it out wide, and the attack can build up. Try and switch flanks. The idea as well of this is sometimes if you give the ball infield, you want to try and spread the play because they've got their players over to one side of the pitch. You want to shift them around, or you want to get round the back of them before he can shift. So if Bruno should go to the right to Wan-Bissaka here, but he tries a long ball through the middle and it gets cut out, and there's not enough patience. It's another thing that we need to improve on. We need to be more patient, pass the ball around more. So Martial does well twice in this 30-second long sequence. And Bruno shows no patience, and he should just give it Wan-Bissaka to his right, but launches it up the field. That's clip number 8. All these clips will be up late tonight on Rick the Red UK on Twitter. Don't forget, there'll be 3 separate threads with 8 clips. I've never used so many clips. 24 clips showing that Anthony Martial wasn't as bad as a lot of people seem to think he was, and was at least worth his average mark, which was 5 that I gave him. Clip number 9, Maguire gives it to Martial. Martial gives it him back. Then he makes himself available, and then Maguire gives it to Shaw. He makes himself available to Shaw. Shaw could give it to Martial. Martial's forever trying to find space. Don't forget, these are defending deep. You've got everybody behind the ball, and it's difficult to find space. You've got to keep moving around. Sometimes, as some top players will tell you, you can stand still to find space. So when they say moving around, you don't have to be sprinting. All their players are moving as well. He tries to make himself available for Maguire. He tries to make himself available for Shaw, and Shaw perhaps should give it him. And then the ball goes into Cavani. And Cavani flicks it on. Here we go again, my pet hate. Cavani should take that ball under control. It's one of these situations, unlike the one where Shaw was in oceans of space, Fred's running into the box, running into a man. Cavani should take it under control. And Martial, who's made himself available to Shaw, he's made himself available to Maguire, is now available to Cavani. Cavani should just take a touch and pass it to him. And it must be so frustrating for Martial, because in a similar situation, nobody gets it right every time, but in a similar situation, I reckon 8 or 9 times out of 10, Martial will get hold of that ball and just pass it. Just get hold of it and pass it, keep the pressure on, let's keep moving. And Martial is in space in front of Cavani, the referee's close by, but there's no opposition player close enough to affect it, and Cavani flicks it on, and the moment is lost. The clip number 10 isn't a clip as such, it's a still photo, and it's a still photo of Cavani flicking the ball on when the ball is just leaving Cavani's boot, and you can just see where Martial is. He's just got to take a touch and just pass it, and that's what we need to be doing a lot more often. Clip number 11, this is one where he could perhaps do a bit better. I'll defend him a little bit on it. It's difficult when it's great if you can get across your fullback, of course, but when you're watching the ball come across, this ball is a cross from Rashford, I think, and Cavani's challenging for it about 8 yards out, just outside the 6-yard box, and you don't know it's going to come across that player's head. So you're waiting to see what happens. It could come off his head, it could come straight at you, it could go towards the goal, it could go behind you. Anything can happen. But if that ball's going to come straight across the goal, without somebody else being between you and the ball, like Cavani and Cavani's man are between Martial and the crosser of the ball. If there's nobody in between you, you've got all that time to make your move, to try and get in front of your defender. You can see where the ball's travelling to. You know it's not going to be diverted. When there's somebody else challenging for the ball in front of you, and Cavani's only about 4 or 5 yards in front of him, 6 yards at the most, it just makes it that little bit more difficult. You don't know where it's going to go. As it happens, Cavani only just misses it, but he just misses it. Once he misses it, you've no time to react. It's there in a split second. But it goes over Cavani's head. It hits the defender who's in front of Martial. He can't get in front of him. Gary Neville giving dog's abuse on the commentary for it. I honestly don't think look, it'd be great if you could get in front of him. Of course, it'd be fantastic. You could argue he could be on the way, but when you're watching that cross, you're trying to gauge where it's going to go, and you can see that somebody might get a touch on it, and you're trying to be alert. You're up. I mean, a ball came to him against Southampton that came across the box, and everybody missed it, and he was standing still then. If you think about, I know they were down to 10, maybe even 9 men, and it was about 7-0. But that ball comes into the box to him, he's standing still. Standing still. If he'd have been running at the post on that, he'd have missed it. So you don't know where the ball's going to go. So the ball could get headed by Cavani, but it comes across Cavani, it hits the defender, and it goes out for a corner. Here's the second one about the ref. I'm going to mention the referee 3 times. I'm probably barking up the wrong tree, and I hope I am barking up the wrong tree, but the grief that I see Martial get in the press, from the pundits, from lots of fans, especially United fans, I don't get why so many people don't like him, and it has even crossed my mind, does the referee not like him? Without a shadow of a doubt, I hope I am barking up the wrong tree. A lot of you might say surely not, but both of these decisions are absolutely unbelievable, and they both happen to be on Anthony Martial. His marker should have been booked already, and then this ball, he's not really even challenged. Maybe you think you should. If I say he should be, he's not challenging for it, lots will say, well, he should be challenging for it. It happens that quick, he can hardly make a challenge. But if he does challenge him, he's behind him. He's only going to foul the defender if he challenges him. Sometimes you know you can't win the ball. He's going to foul him if he tries to challenge him. So the ball hits the defender, he's behind him, he doesn't even put a challenge in, and the referee gives a goal kick. And that makes it look even worse. That's making it look as though the referee's suggesting that Martial did get a touch to it and he's 6 yards out and should have scored. So he gives a goal kick when it's clearly a corner, and also doesn't book his man when he's a second late and clatters right into him. And that's two of 3 things I'm going to speak about the ref. Right, and this is clip number 12. Clip number 12, Maguire gives it to Shaw. And Shaw should give it to Martial, in my opinion. We need to keep moving the ball around, and it's a little bit too frenetic, a little bit too tight round the edge of the box. And Shaw tries to give a give and go with Bruno, but it's a little bit out of Bruno's reach. They clear it easily. It goes out to Maguire again. Again, Martial is making himself available, but Maguire goes to Fred. And then Fred goes to Bruno, and Bruno tries to play it infield to McTominay. It's a poor pass. Martial is in oceans of space on the left wing. He should have had it twice in this particular passage of play already. When Bruno gets it, I'm not going to have a go at Bruno here. It's really tight, and he tries a pass to McTominay that's not on. What I would say, because I've seen him do it dozens of times before, somebody like Martial appreciates where the space is. Martial is in lots and lots of space on that left wing, and Bruno's 10 yards in field, and Bruno plays the ball 10. The ball comes to him on this side. He would, to do it, he'd have to do really well, but I see Martial do it loads of times. Take it with the outside of your right foot and turn that way, and then pass it to the wing where the space is. There's lots and lots of space there, but Bruno just goes in field to where the crowd is, and it goes to McTominay. I think it's aimed at McTominay, but it just goes straight to one of their players. Right, clip number 13. There's so much happening. He gets it, he turns, He wants to play short down the line, but there's two men blocking the path. One's right on shore and one's just a touch inside, and it's too difficult. So he goes square to Fred. He could go backwards. He could easily pass it backwards, but he doesn't want to pass it backwards. He goes square to Fred, and then he gets it again. When he gets it again back off Fred, he turns. He wants to go forward. Try and see this on the clip. You'll just see him go with his hands like that. He wants to give it to Fred again. It is a bit tight, but he wants to give and go with Fred, but Fred's not really aware, and he just has to turn backwards. So he turns back and he gives it to Maguire. When he gives it to Maguire, he makes himself available for it again. He's asked, watch for this. When he's making himself available to Maguire, we haven't got other players as bright as this, I promise you. You'll see him look over his shoulder twice. He checks that Fred is still in space. Martial knows what he's going to do next if Maguire gives him the ball. He looks once and he goes back to Maguire for the ball. He looks again, he offers himself again, and Maguire goes elsewhere. Martial doesn't get the ball, but he's involved in the play. He's involved in the play again. He wants to get it again, and while he's waiting to get it again, he's checking that Fred's free in field. He doesn't receive the ball, and it could have been a good attack if we just play it. What Martial does as well, he appreciates when he's giving the ball to people that if they're marked, if you're confident enough to take hold of that ball, the likelihood is you're going to get a free kick. The likelihood you're going to either do something okay, hold it and pass it, or you're going to get fouled. So you can give it to people who have got men just behind them, and they need to trust. Martial's our best man at that, at receiving a ball with a man on. So we need to look at that more. And Martial's asking Maguire for the ball, doesn't get it. And I believe he should get it, and he knows where he's. And if he gets it, he knows where he's going to give it next to, and you can see that clearly from the clip, and that's clip number 13. Clip number 14, similar situation. He's involved twice again. It's crowded, but he looks forward. He sees Fred in between two players. He gives a nice ball into Fred's feet, as I've just spoken about. This is how he wants the ball, give it to him. But he sees Fred, he gives it to Fred, and Fred gets fouled, and United get a free kick in a dangerous position. That's Martial showing what other people should be doing when he's asking for the ball. Just get it into somebody's feet and let him get hold of it. This is clip number 15. Yes, Cavani gets the ball in the inside right channel. He plays the ball to Martial. Martial lays it's inside right channel, but only just inside their half. He plays it to Martial. Martial lays it off to Fred. It could just be a tad better, the pass to Fred. Maybe a foot shorter to make him come towards it, or a foot further back. But Martial sets off. You look at the clip. When he gives it to Fred, he sets off into acres of space. There's one defender. One defender's nothing to Anthony Martial. He wants that ball knocking into that space. But I think Fred should do better. A little bit too slow on the uptake. Doesn't realise the opportunity that's there. But Martial gives it him and goes. He's off. And Fred takes a touch. When he takes a touch, he's closed down too quickly. And he should do better. Look, it's tight, but he should do better. Martial knows where he wants it. Fred should knock a ball into that space for him to chase. Clip number 16 is in space in the box. Martial in a perfect position for him to take the defender on. It's another situation where the player on the ball, like I've just pointed out, Martial passing a ball to Fred. This is outside the box, and Fred's not the greatest at receiving and turning or dribbling. But he gives it to Fred, and Fred gets a free kick. Martial's in the box here. He's only 5 or 6 yards away from Maguire, and he's managed to pull off into a little bit of space, just a bit of space. His defender's 3 yards away from him, but it's only a 5-yard pass. The defender's not going to be able to affect him. Maguire should just give it to Martial's feet and doesn't receive the ball. There's so many things going wrong where the team need to do better, and Martial's game wouldn't seem to the layman that it's so poor if only the teammates were doing the right thing, as often he does the right thing. But Maguire tries to cross it, and it gets cleared easily. That's clip number 16. Clip number 17, he comes short for the ball, lays it off first time to Lindelof. He turns to go forward. When he turns to go forward, he's a step ahead. He realises, for a change, that there's only one man over. They're not crowded at the back on the edge of their box. That they've got 3 defenders against 2 forwards, which is good numbers for us on this day. And he realises there's an opportunity here. There's space for him to run into, and it's Bruno who's up near the edge of the box. Bruno could lay it off to him. So he comes short for the ball. When you come short for the ball and you give it straight back to a defender, you need to have purpose. We've got some players who seem to do it without having any purpose, but he gives it and he turns and he sees space and he runs into that space. He's not expecting the ball into that space. He's a step ahead. He's expecting the ball to go to Bruno, and he's expecting Bruno to be able to lay it off to him. But Lindelof's ball, you can see the spurt that he puts on the clip, and it's not, it's not fantastic, but it's just something that goes wrong. That's not his fault. It's not Martial's fault that it goes wrong. He lays a good ball off, runs into space. Bruno could lay it off to him. It's not Bruno's fault either on this occasion. Lindelof's pass is too high and too long, and Bruno can't reach it. So obviously Martial's run doesn't come to anything. Clip number 18, he receives it inside left channel again, or just in from the left wing. He turns, he wants to play Shaw down the line. Again, there's too many players around Shaw, so he can't give it to Shaw. He has to turn back quickly. There's a lovely, I love the way Martial moves with the ball. He receives it and turns, and as no sooner has he turned, he knows that the pass isn't onto Shaw, and he turns back in an instant, and he lays it to Fred, and then he gets it again. He gets involved again. When he gets involved again, he looks up and he sort of bursts past the player. He's not quite past him, but he checks back. He checks back because when he looks up, if you look on the clip, you'll see that there's 5 West Brom defenders against 3 people who are United players who have stood with the back to goal. There really isn't anything on, and he just decides it's better not to run at those defenders at that moment, and he checks back. All he's seen is a wall of shirts in front of him, basically. He's about to go. He's virtually past one man, but he checks back instead. When he checks back, he gives it to Bruno. Now, he's been involved twice in this. Well, more than twice. He started on the left wing. It's a lovely passage of play, this. But when he gives it to Bruno, Bruno needs to be more patient. He can see Cavani at the far post. He tries to aim it for Cavani. When I say the far post, on the edge of the box with 2 men around him, it's a pointless ball into the box. It's another one where Martial's been involved twice. He's showing perfect patience. The team needs to show more patience. And he realises that there's nothing on there. He gives it to Bruno, and Bruno tries to put a ball in the box. But the cross is blocked anyway. He's too slow to cross it, but the cross would have been a waste of time. Really. Look, you never know, but it probably would have been a waste of time. That was clip number 18. This is clip number 19. Very, very simple. Again, it's showing the service. He comes short for the ball in the inside right channel. Again, it looks like nothing, but it's the timing. It's the taking the touch, and the touch that he takes. Players move a bit. Then he gives it to McTominay, and McTominay's in loads of space. Martial goes off into the box. McTominay gives it to Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka's cross is about a yard off the ground, if that, maybe a bit more than a yard off the ground. It gets headed away at the near post too easily. The cross is far too poor. Not that anything, nothing might come of it, but the more crosses that are correct, the more chance you've got of something coming of it. And Martial's bit of play there, as simple as it is, we haven't got other players doing that as well as Martial does it. Coming short for the ball, receiving it and giving it to somebody using space. And that space is opening up for people because he's taking his little bit of time on the ball. Clip number 20. This is Martial flicking it again. I don't like flicks, as I've said. I don't mind showing it. If you are going to flick it, though, make sure it goes to the person who you're flicking it to. and he does flick it straight to Cavani. Cavani tries to flick it back to him. He's sort of trying to 1-2 if you like, but Martial's flick gets to Cavani. And maybe Cavani could get hold of it, but he tries to flick it back into Martial's path. And then he pulls back out to the edge of the box. It breaks down. Martial pulls out to the edge of the box. Around the edge of the box, he's the player who we should be giving the ball to. And Luke Shaw tries to cross it, and I believe he should give it to Martial again. He's there standing, waiting for the ball, and he doesn't give it to him. That was clip number 20. Clip number 21 is the end of the first half. This is the last one that's going to involve the referee. 47 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock, and Martial does well to make the interception on the edge of his own box. I've tried to count the players on the field. I can count 9 West Brom players who were in the box or around the box, and the player who's taken the corner, somebody else who was near the corner taker, maybe looking for the short corner. I cannot see a player in defence. I cannot see a player in defence. So United are on a breakaway, a chance to go 2-1 up. Martial has got the ball. He's intercepted it well. It's a nice piece. It's a nice interception. His touch is lovely. It's right in front of him. And I think Bruno and Cavani are also on the run. Like I say, there's one. I can see the halfway line. You'd expect a West Brom player on the halfway line, but I can't see one. So I really don't know if there's a single player back. There might not even be one player back. But United have got a breakaway that's either 3 against 1. It might even be 3 against the keeper. It's difficult to tell. But the referee blows his whistle. There's 5. I can't blame the referee. I'm not blaming the referee on this one. I'm really not. But it just makes me think that you often see, watch it, any game you see, if there's 2, 3, 4 minutes injury time, they often play an extra 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Often when there's no important moment. There's nothing really happening. The passing, they often play an extra little bit of time. United are on a breakaway, and it's Martial who's on the ball. So I don't think Martial could have had 3 sort of rougher moments in one half of a game from the ref. If you think about it, his player should have got booked. He didn't even give his marker. Didn't even give a free kick. He gave a goal kick when Martial didn't get anywhere near the ball, and it bounced out off his marker, and then he's on a breakaway. 5 seconds. Look, he's got to blow his whistle. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that on some occasions, some refs might have just let this develop and just see what happens before blowing up. But he's not, the way I see this referee treating Anthony Martial on the day, probably there was no chance of that happening. Clip number 22, this is 10 seconds into the second half. 10 seconds into the second half. A great ball into Martial's feet, inside left channel in their half. It's an absolutely brilliant piece of play by Anthony Martial. It really is brilliant. If you want to watch it and try and appreciate it, have a look what goes on. A lot of people watching this game won't even think twice about it. It is absolutely class. Shaw plays it into his feet. He shows great strength. He holds his man off. He's taken a touch. As I always say, we've got players who would have flicked this ball on. We have got players who would have flicked this ball on. We've got players who would have passed it instantly back to Shaw or just tried to do something else. But Martial holds it with strength. Got a grip at him. Knows his man's behind him. Cavani's running through the inside left channel. While he's got it, this is the bit that you need. All of it's good. There's like 3 or 4 things you could say that are class about it. But Martial knows that Cavani has got to make a little bit of ground to make this a worthwhile opportunity. And while he's holding his man off and he's taken a touch, and I think then another touch, he then just rolls his foot over it. Only takes half a second, but he rolls his foot over the ball, and it just kills half a second while Cavani's in the perfect spot. Then he rolls it into Cavani's path, and Cavani tries to set Bruno free in the box. The defender does well. On another day, would have been 2-1 up in the first few seconds of the second half. It would have been a brilliant goal. It was a decent enough ball by Cavani. It was a great run by Bruno, and it was a great ball by Shaw into Martial's feet. But the play by Martial is absolutely top draw. Make no mistake about it. It really is. That was clip number 22. Clip number 23. Again, he receives the ball, Martial, with his back to goal, just inside their half. Players around him, takes a touch, holds it a second, then moves infield. He's drawn 3 men, 4 really. There's another one on the periphery. He's drawn 3 men around him, possibly even 4. When he's done that, imagine the space on the rest of the field. He then rolls it into Fred's path. The pass is a little bit long, but he's under duress here. He's done fantastically well, and he rolls it into Fred's path, and Fred does well. He beats a man to the ball and does like a little turn, a pirouette, if you like, as he gets it to keep the man away from it. And Fred sets Wan-Bissaka free on the right. This could look. Martial's left 4 men out of the game. Fred's beaten another man. Whatever happens after that, I don't know. I'll stop the clip after Fred gives it to Wan-Bissaka. But imagine the space on the rest of the field. This could be a golden opportunity for United, and mainly it's about Martial's quality and strength and understanding of the game, and it's a brilliant piece of play. And for a man who got substituted about 10 minutes later, it's 2 of the best pieces of play in the space of 5 or 10 minutes that any of United players did in the whole of the match. It was really 2 great pieces of play. That's clip 23, clip 22 and clip 23, 2 brilliant pieces of play. And then to finish off, clip number 24, not long before Martial goes off. There's a ball played into his feet. It's a perfect clip to finish on this, talking about the quality of one player and the lack of quality. Obviously not all the time, but far too often, the lack of quality in another player. It's an absolutely perfect clip. The ball's played into Martial. Martial's got a man to him, ever slightly to his left, but he steps in front of him, he steps across him, receives the ball and lays it back off to Fred. I don't think you can actually see Fred in the clip, but he gets hold of it and lays it off perfectly. We're trying to build something. You've got to get hold of that ball, as I've said time and time again in this video. You've got to get hold of the ball 9 times, probably at least 8, maybe 9 times out of 10. The correct thing to do is to get hold of it. So he gets hold of it, lays it back to Fred, and then Fred plays it through to Bruno, who's also got his back to goal, and Bruno lets it run through his legs in the wild hope that it's going to run to a player. Cavani's not far away, but when you do something like that, your teammate needs to know that you're going to do that. There's no point hoping that he's going to be on his toes. And you think about how many times, try and think about a goal that you've seen where somebody has got a ball played straight to his feet and he just opens his legs and lets it run through his legs to a teammate. It can happen if you know it's running straight to him, but that's down to you. That's down to you for you who does that. It's down to you to appreciate that if the ball's played to you and you know that somebody's directly behind you, but they've got to be directly behind you. It's no good if they're a couple of yards to the right or a couple of yards to the left. If they're directly behind you, at least you know when you let it go through your legs that it's going to them, to that player. If that player's a couple of yards off, he's not going to be able to react quickly enough, just like the defenders can't. And as often as not, defenders are behind you. More than 9 times out of 10, probably 49 times out of 50, defenders are behind you. So there's a ball laid into Martial. He takes a touch and gives it back to Fred. Fred then plays it through to Bruno's feet. Bruno lets it go through his legs, and West Brom cleared a danger. Well, if there was any danger. So Anthony Martial for me was worth at least his 5, which is only average. I honestly believe, having studied the game, that if all the other players in the front 3 or 4 positions would have looked after the ball as well as he did, would have made the correct decisions as often as he did. I'm not saying he didn't do some things wrong, but so did all the others, misplaced passes and stuff like that. But it's got to be better from most of the players, and the player who's getting most of the stick is not the player who deserves most of the stick. Most of the players weren't on the same wavelength as Anthony Marshall. We need to get hold of it more. We need to control it better. We need to pass it better. We need to make better decisions. Probably above all else, we need to be more patient. And Anthony Marshall is all of those things. He's a top quality player, and we really are not seeing the wood for the trees. The management, the pundits, the fans are not seeing the wood for the trees. He should be playing with better players. He deserves to be playing with better players. And if all of United's players took the decisions and took the care of the ball that he takes, we'd be a lot better. Don't make the mistake of thinking that I'm saying he's going to make loads of chances, he's going to score loads of goals. I'm not saying that. When you do that and keep control of the ball, make good decisions and pass it well and pick the right moment to pass it, that can develop into chances and goals for other players. You don't have to be the person who plays the actual pass that is the assist. The two that I showed in that half, just in the first 10 minutes of the second half, brilliant piece of play to give the ball to Fred, and Fred gets it out to Wan-Bissaka. That could lead to a goal. Brilliant piece of play to hold the ball and gives it to Cavani. Cavani feeds Bruno, but the defender does well to block Bruno's run. These things can lead to goals. Doesn't matter if you're the assister, doesn't matter if you're the goal scorer. And we need all our players to think like that. And we could do with fans and pundits alike realising how much more there is to the game than just scoring goals or assisting the goals. They've got to, the moves have to start from somewhere, and there's important parts in those moves. I'll be putting all the clips up on Twitter. I'll do 3 separate clips because, as I say, I've never done so many clips. 24 clips, and it's difficult getting them all on one thread. So I'll do three. I've never done 3 threads before. It's usually 1 or 2. So I'll be doing 3 threads with 8 clips on 8 clips on 8 clips on each thread there'll be. So they'll be up later tonight on Rick the Red UK on Twitter. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed it, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.